Why knowing material properties shapes our modern world. Imagine if people built airplanes without knowing which metals were strong enough to fly. Or if we used random substances as medicine without knowing whether they were safe or poisonous. Our world would be full of accidents and guesswork. Thankfully, science gives us a way to understand the personalities of different materials. Just like people, every substance has traits. Some are calm, some are reactive, some can withstand heat, and some break down quickly. These traits are what we call properties. Some properties, like color or hardness, can be seen or measured without changing the substance. Others, like the ability to burn or rust, only show up when the substance actually changes into something new. By studying these properties, we've been able to design the technology that shapes our modern lives, from smartphones and skyscrapers to medicines and clean energy. In this talk, we'll explore the difference between physical properties and chemical properties, and then look at why knowing them is so important for the technology we rely on every day. 1. What is a chemical property? A chemical property is a characteristic of a substance that describes how it behaves when it interacts with other substances. For example, wood burns in the presence of oxygen. That's a chemical property. Flammability. Iron rusts when it meets oxygen and water. That's a chemical property. Vinegar reacts with baking soda to make bubbles of gas. That's a chemical property. So chemical properties are all about how a substance changes into something new during a reaction. 2. Why do we need to study chemical properties? We study them because they help us predict, control, and use materials safely and effectively. If you know gasoline is flammable, you know to store it carefully. If you know certain metals corrode, you can design stronger buildings and ships. If you know how medicines react inside the body, you can create safe drugs. Without knowing chemical properties, we'd be guessing, and that could be dangerous or wasteful. 3. How to explain it to a layman. Simple analogy. Think of every substance like a person at a party. Some people are calm and don't mingle much, like noble gases which don't react easily. Some are very social and start new friendships quickly, like alkali metals which react fast. Some only get along under certain conditions, like needing music or food first, like chemicals that only react when heated. By studying their personalities, chemical properties, we can predict what will happen when they meet each other. 4. Impact in our modern world. Knowing chemical properties has huge benefits. Medicine helps design drugs that cure diseases without harmful side effects. Energy. Fuels, batteries, and solar panels all work because we understand chemical reactions. Environment. Knowing chemical properties helps reduce pollution and clean up toxic waste. Technology. Smartphones, computers, and even space rockets are possible because of materials chosen for their chemical behaviors. Safety prevents accidents in industries, labs, and even kitchens. Imagine mixing the wrong cleaning products. In short, chemical properties tell us how substances change. Studying them lets us build safer, smarter, and more sustainable technology, and that knowledge shapes almost everything in our modern lives. 1. What are physical properties? A physical property is something you can observe or measure without changing what the substance is. Examples. Color. Gold is yellow, copper is reddish-brown. Shape and size. State. Solid, liquid, gas. Melting point. Ice melts at 0 C. Boiling point. Water boils at 100 C. Density. Oil floats on water because it's less dense. You can test these without making a new substance. For instance, melting ice into water doesn't change it, it's still HO. 2. What are chemical properties? Quick recap. A chemical property describes how a substance can change into a new substance. Examples. Flammability. Wood can burn into ash smoke. Reactivity. Iron rusts in water and air. Acidity or basicity. Lemon juice is acidic. Toxicity. Some chemicals can poison living things. Testing these usually creates something new. Physical properties describe how something looks or behaves without changing what it really is. For example, the color of an object, its shape, how heavy it is, or the temperature at which it melts or boils are all physical properties. You can usually notice or measure these properties just by looking at the substance or testing it gently, without making anything new. For instance, when ice melts into water, or water turns into vapor, it's still the same substance, HO. Chemical properties, on the other hand, describe how a substance reacts and changes into something completely different. These are things like whether something can burn, rust, or react with acids. To observe a chemical property, you usually need to make the substance undergo a reaction. For example, when iron rusts, it becomes iron oxide. Or when wood burns, it turns into ash, smoke, and gases. New substances are formed. In short, physical properties can be seen without changing the substance, while chemical properties only show up when the substance actually changes into something new. Simple analogy. Physical property: a person's appearance, height, eye color, clothing. These can change, like changing clothes, but the person is still the same. Chemical property: a person's personality or behavior, how they react in situations. To see it, you have to interact with the element that may change the relationship permanently. Impact of knowing physical properties in technology. Understanding physical properties lets us choose the right materials for the right job. Electronics. We know copper is a good conductor of electricity, physical property, so we use it in wires. Plastic is a poor conductor, also a physical property, so we use it to insulate those wires and keep people safe. Construction. Steel is strong and dense. Glass is transparent. Aluminum is light-knowing. These physical traits lets engineers design skyscrapers, airplanes, and cars. Everyday products. Touchscreens work because glass is smooth, transparent, and hard enough not to scratch easily. Impact of knowing chemical properties in technology. Chemical properties help us predict and control reactions so we can invent new things safely. Batteries energy. Lithium is highly reactive chemical property, which makes it perfect for storing energy in lithium-ion batteries that power phones, laptops, and electric cars. Medicine. By knowing how chemicals react inside the human body, scientists design drugs that heal without causing dangerous side effects. Environmental tech. Understanding chemical reactivity helps us create filters that remove pollutants or design eco-friendly fuels. Materials. Engineers use knowledge of corrosion, a chemical property, to protect ships, bridges, and pipelines from rusting by applying special coatings. Big picture. Physical properties tell us what materials are suitable. Chemical properties tell us how they will behave over time or when they interact with other substances. Together, they allow us to build safe buildings, create powerful medicines, invent new gadgets, and even explore space. Without this knowledge, technology would be based on trial and error and much less reliable. In short, knowing physical and chemical properties is like knowing the instruction manual of every material around us. That knowledge is what makes modern technology possible. In summary, physical properties: what a substance is like without changing it. Chemical properties: how a substance behaves when it changes into something new. Here's conclusion. In the end, physical and chemical properties are more than just science terms in a textbook. They are the key to understanding how the world around us works. Physical properties help us recognize and use materials based on what they look like or how they behave without changing, while chemical properties reveal how those same materials transform when they react with others. By studying both, we gain the power to design safer medicines, build stronger materials, create cleaner energy, and push the limits of technology. From something as simple as preventing rust on a bridge to something as advanced as powering spacecraft, knowing these properties guides nearly every innovation in our modern world. So, the next time you hold your phone, ride in a car, or even cook a meal, remember our knowledge of physical and chemical properties is what makes all of it possible.